So yeah, this is going to be a bit of a rant. I don't often do this with TV shows or stuff like this, but this does involve the games, and I'm probably going to have gameplay in the background. But this franchise of The Witcher by Andrzej Sapkowski, probably said his name wrong, but it gained prominence because of the games. Say what you will about this, in Poland it was well known, but outside of Poland, it didn't have the draw of like A Song of Ice and Fire or many of the other fantasy novels that have existed the last number of decades. The games boosted it on up, and when news came about that there was going to be a Netflix adaptation from the books, not the games, I was cautiously optimistic about it, which is kind of foolish considering that almost none of the other companies outside of HBO does fantasy well. Lord of the Rings by Amazon has been an absolute train wreck in my personal opinion, and it definitely seems like HBO and Netflix, their plans for a Lord of the Rings adaptation was just as bad as what's been brought to screen with the Rings of Power, but that is a discussion for another day. So ultimately, on the small screen of TVs, fantasy has not translated all that well. I'm sure I'm missing a couple of examples of underdog shows that people didn't watch, blah, 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 but most fantasy shows just never hit that peak. Obviously, Game of Thrones is going to be the big example that everybody brings up, but regardless of that, with The Witcher, I had a lot of candidates that I thought would make great Geralt of Rivias. I thought that one of the guys from Game of Thrones, I thought he was going to be a great choice. Mads Mikkelsen is another one, and there was a number of other ones that I was speculating about before the show even got off the ground. But Henry Cavill was an odd choice. But once we saw him in that first episode, saw his performance, I was like, yeah, this actually works. And for the last couple of seasons, it has worked. He is the main draw of the show. The writing, unfortunately, is not very good, and I know a lot of book fans were very, very upset in Season 2 with some of the big changes that were made. To be fair, a lot of the book fans were already upset with some of the other changes that have just been made in general with the entire show, but now the show has suffered what I would call it's been killed. It really should just be dead in the water now, and I really don't get why Netflix is continuing this, but maybe it is just because of how many people tune in to the show when it premieres. And I think the Season 3 should be approaching very soon, and Henry Cavill is going to be playing the character, but now the future is going to be in the hands of Liam Hemsworth. He's picking up Geralt's sword for The Witcher Season 4. The series has been renewed. Breaking news from the continent, as Netflix says in this article, while The Witcher Season 3 has not debuted yet, it has already been renewed for a fourth season, but there is a change coming. In Season 4, Liam Hemsworth will step in as the titular monster hunter Geralt of Rivia, the role Henry Cavill originated in the first 3 seasons. The two actors shared the exciting news on social media. This ain't exciting, this is tragic. My journey as Geralt of Rivia has been filled with both monsters and adventures, and alas, I will be laying down my medallion and my swords for Season 4. The big thing about Henry Cavill also with this show is just how passionate he is for the books and the games. He is somebody who got really invested in this universe, and I do have to wonder if the fact that the show's quality just isn't hitting as high as I think a lot of us expected it or hoped it to be. Maybe he's saying that this is a good reason to get out now. And also he has some other stuff that he's probably wanting to work on, you know, such as Superman projects as he's returning. Just had that Black Adam cameo. But he continues, he says, "In my stead, the fantastic Mr. Liam Hemsworth," not fantastic, "will be taking up the mantle of the White Wolf. As with the greatest of literary characters, I pass the torch with reverence for the time spent embodying Geralt and enthusiasm to see Liam's take on the most fascinating and nuanced of men. Liam, good sir, this character has such a wonderful depth to him. Enjoy diving in and seeing what you can find." And then Hemsworth said he's thrilled as a Witcher fan. "I'm over the moon about the opportunity to play Geralt of Rivia. Henry Cavill has been an incredible Geralt, and I'm honored that he's handing me the reins and allowing me to take up the White Wolf's blades for the next chapter of his adventure. Henry, I've been a fan of yours for years and was inspired by what you brought to the beloved character. I may have some big boots to fill, but I'm truly excited to be stepping into the Witcher world, and there is no way in hell this show doesn't get canceled after like Season 4, Season 5. I promise you that viewership is going to drop drastically, and it is just because of the fact that Cavill is no longer involved in this show. But it also needs to be mentioned that there has been some recent drama surrounding this Netflix show, which I do have to wonder if it isn't just the Superman part that is contributing to why Cavill is stepping away from this. And this is another article coming from IGN. Netflix's The Witcher. Former producer, he was also a writer, claims some writers actively dislike the books and games. As reported by The Direct, DeMeo recently participated in a Q&A. He's working on an upcoming X-Men 97 Disney Plus series, and he said that how he assembled his production team for that project. He revealed that those involved had to be a fan of the material because that hasn't always been his experience. You know, it's crazy to think that people actually liking the source material have to be involved. Why is that such a controversial thing? That should be common. I really don't get why people who hate things are working on them. This isn't just with The Witcher, this is just in general. He says, I've been on a show, namely The Witcher, he actually called it out, where some of the writers were not or actively disliked the books and games. Again, you know, the games that put this franchise on the map, and also the books, the source material, which so many love, even actively mocking the source material, DeMeo explained. It's a recipe for disaster and bad morale, I would say. Fandom as a litmus test checks egos and makes all the long nights worth it. You have to respect the work before you're allowed to add to its legacy. You would think. DeMeo served as a co-producer on 2 episodes of The Witcher's first season and penned another story in the 8-episode block before returning as a writer on the 2nd episode of season 2. He did not mention any names, and with several changes on the writing team each season, it's unclear who he is taking aim at and whether those people remain on board. But even so, DeMeo has made clear that those who are involved in the show actively do not like it, or at least some of them don't. And based on some of the changes made to the lore and the history of The Witcher, I think you're going to have a lot of fans who are like, maybe that makes a little bit more sense now. But I do have to theorize that this is one of the contributing reasons why Henry Cavill no longer wants to be involved. If he really wanted to do both Superman and Geralt at the same time, I have to imagine it'd be possible. I mean, season 4 is probably going to be filming sometime next year, and he's probably not going to be doing Superman for at least a decent amount of time. There is no script written, there is no director attached yet, as far as I understand, to his next Superman movie, but obviously that is going to be something that he focuses time on. I just think that there's a couple of factors here at play. It's the fact that the show isn't very good, some of the people involved actively dislike it and mock it, and I'm sure Cavill probably feels that he could be spending his time on better things right now. And hell, there's been rumors that he could be attached to being the next Bond. Maybe we'll see that happen in the future, but regardless, Henry Cavill is done. Liam Hemsworth is replacing him, and if you don't know his acting performances, unfortunately he is nothing like Chris Hemsworth. His performances, you may have remembered him in the Hunger Games movies, wasn't very good. Independence Day Resurgence, The Last Song, and Poker Face, a bunch of movies that I haven't heard of, except for Independence Day, which again was pretty awful. So yeah, Liam Hemsworth, not exactly a very good actor. His last big performance again was probably like 2017, 2015. And yeah, he is the replacement playing Geralt of Rivia. We'll see what happens with that, but I don't know if I'll be tuning in. I'm just exhausted by so many of these non-fiction adaptations. Halo earlier this year was frustrating. The Rings of Power just last month was a big headache with a lot of the stupidity with that. But yeah, Netflix's The Witcher is pretty much dead to me at this point, but we'll see what happens. We'll see how Liam Hemsworth fits into the character. Maybe he'll surprise us all, but it doesn't really matter if the show's writing doesn't get any bit better, and I kind of doubt that it's going to happen. But pushing that negativity to the side for a second, at least in the video game world, we do have some awesome stuff on the horizon. CD Projekt Red has announced that they got a bunch of Witcher projects in development, a new trilogy of games, and also Canis Majoris, that was a codename for a Witcher project, just got revealed the other day. It's a Witcher 1 remake. At a time in which it seems like all of the remakes that are getting made are for games that don't need remakes, this is definitely one that could use it. It runs extremely rough, and the gameplay mechanics are just extremely dated. So seeing it getting a modern facelift and getting some modern mechanics, it's awesome news to me. And also we get more Geralt, which is awesome. So as it stands, we await to see news and footage from Season 3 of The Witcher, which will include Henry Cavill as Geralt of Rivia, but that will be his final go as the main character as he moves on and Liam Hemsworth takes over. Disappointed for sure, but as I said throughout the video with all the reasons listed, it's just not surprising, especially considering that I would put The Witcher right next to almost all of the other generic fantasy series that end up being quickly forgotten. The only one thing that really stood out about this show was Henry Cavill's performance as Geralt, but now that too is gone. Anyway, right now I'm seeing a lot of reactions online, a lot of people upset, and many agreeing with my perspective of let's just cancel this show and move on, but obviously we'll continue forward because this is a big franchise for Netflix and they lack much of that. They have Stranger Things, The Witcher, and I really can't think much more than that, to be honest, but what do you make of this? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, but thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video or if you found any informative value, and make sure to follow my other social media accounts for updates on new videos. Links are always down in the description below. I'm most active on Twitter, giving opinions on news that I do not always get into video form, so do make sure to follow me over there. Also check out my Discord for all sorts of discussion on games. And again, thank you for joining. Consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.